Welcome and thank you for standing by. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Today's webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be posted publicly. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I'd like to turn the call over to your host, Linda Lee.
Thank you, Lisa. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Linda Lee, and I would like to welcome everyone to the Exploring Census Data webinar series. For those of you that have been following our series, welcome back. For anyone that may be new to our series, the Exploring Census Data webinar series is a set of webinars where we present data from the Census Bureau by topics on a monthly basis. Today's webinar is the final installment in the series for this year. So far, we've broadcasted sessions on the services, healthcare, construction, retail, and public sectors of the economy. If you have missed these sessions and would like to view the recordings, please visit the Census Academy on census.gov. Now, one of the features of the series includes access to archived copies, and the recording of this session, along with the slides, will be available on the Census Academy at a later date. To learn more about the series or to view the recordings from previous years, the links provided on this slide will take you directly to the site. Today, we will be providing you with information and data on the professional, personal, and other services sector of the economy. You'll learn about business data available to help you with your research to make informed business decisions. Now, with that being said, we have lined up 3 speakers for you today that are experts in their field and ready to impart their knowledge on the topic. You'll be able to ask questions using the Q&A feature throughout the webinar, and our experts will be available to you at the end of the presentation as well. Our first speaker is Ms. Jennifer Wenning. Jen is a supervisory survey statistician and will be presenting on the non-employer statistics and the county business patterns, where you will learn about business data for establishments with and without employees. Up next is Ms. Melissa Kopytek. Melissa is a branch chief of the Business Statistics Program area. Melissa will present measures of businesses to include job creations and destruction and the opening and closing of firms. Melissa will also provide a look into a data tool that can be helpful when using the BDS data. Then our next speaker is Ms. Brandy Hanley. Brandy is a branch chief of the Quarterly Financial Report Program area. Brandy will be presenting financial characteristics available from the report and showcase the latest data that was recently released a few weeks ago. Now, before we dive into today's session, please note that we are utilizing technology off-site, and we aim to provide you with the best experience possible. Should we experience any technical delays during our session, please utilize the chat feature to let us know of issues, and we will mitigate them as soon as possible. On our agenda for today, we will be diving into a brief background about the Census Bureau before we explore the professional, personal, and other services sectors of the economy. Please take note that we've provided the location of our archive recordings for you here. Along with that, if you are interested in stories behind the data, please check out the America Counts page where you'll be able to access the stories. We also have data visualizations that you can use for your own needs. All of these resources are free and available on census.gov under the library section of the site. The Census Bureau is the federal government's largest of the 13 statistical agencies, where we conduct over 130 surveys each year, with some of our well-known ones listed here. First on the list, many people recognize the decennial census, which takes place every 10 years, and it counts the population and housing. Next is the American Community Survey, which is a yearly survey on the nation's population. Now, from the business data side of the house, we have the economic census that measures American businesses. For the public sector's counterpart of the economic census, we have the Census of Governments. This is the official 5-year measure of the nation's state and local government sector. Our mission is to serve as the leading source of quality data. So with that, it may be helpful to know the structure of our data releases. We have a range of release frequencies from the decennial to quinquennials, annuals, and monthlies. So it's good to note that there is an inverse relationship between the frequency of releases and the level of details. So for instance, the economic census takes place every 5 years, and it is the most comprehensive source for business data. While the annual and quarterly surveys are more timely, the level of details is reduced. Specifically for business data, we have 17 monthly and quarterly surveys with some of our widely used ones, such as the retail and wholesale trade surveys listed here. The monthly and quarterly surveys include programs that serve as key economic indicators. And we have 20 economic surveys that are released annually. So with over 130 surveys, I highly encourage you to check out our site and discover the possibilities. And with that, I would like to turn the presentation over to our first speaker, Ms. Jennifer Wenning.
Thank you, Linda. My name is Jennifer Wenning, and I'm going to talk to you today about the Non-Employer Statistics and County Business Patterns program. I will speak about each program separately, but I want to add that for a more complete picture of the U.S. economy, we recommend using data from both the CBP and NES in tandem. There is no overlap between the data in these two programs. First, speaking on the Non-Employer Statistics Program, or NES. The purpose of non-employer statistics is to provide annual statistics for businesses with no paid employees, but that are subject to federal income tax and have receipts of $1,000 or more. The exception being the construction sector, where there's only a dollar minimum for the receipts. The data are available at detailed industries as well as geographies within the U.S. This program is authorized under the United States Code Title 13 and 26. The Non-Employer Statistics Program has published annually since 1997. Prior to 1997, the data were published as part of most economic censuses beginning with 1972. And as Linda said, and we'll continue to give you a little bit more information on the economic census later in this presentation. The data available for the Non-Employer Statistics Program are the number of non-employer businesses, the total receipts presented in thousands of dollars, as well as data for the legal form of organization, known as LFO, at the U.S. and state level, and then also receipt size class, and that's only available at the U.S. level. The data originate from statistical information obtained through business income tax returns provided by the Internal Revenue Service, or IRS. The data are then processed through various automated and analytical review to eliminate employers from being included in the final tabulation. The non-employer statistics are published at the U.S. level, as well as by state, county, metropolitan/micropolitan statistical area, also MSA, and combined statistical area, CSA. The data are available for approximately 450 NAICS industries. The non-employer statistics do exclude crop and animal production, national postal services, investment funds, trusts and other financial vehicles, management of companies or enterprises, private households, and public administration. Additionally, certain industries are automatically reclassified. For example, new car dealerships are automatically reclassified to used car dealerships. For a full list of our reclassifications, you can visit the website here at the bottom of the page. Noise infusion is the primary method of disclosure avoidance applied to the receipts. This results in a relatively small change to the vast majority of cells. The receipts also have an associated flag to indicate the level of noise. The non-employer establishment counts are non-noisy, but starting with reference year 2018, data is only published if the cell contains 3 or more establishments. In all other cases, the cell is removed from publication. Additionally, data that do not meet publication standards are suppressed. For a full list and detail of our methodology, please visit this link at the bottom of the page. The non-employer statistics data is available annually, typically 17 months after each reference year. I say typically because there are course exceptions. The 2019 non-employer statistics estimates were published later than usual due to delays in receiving the administrative data, and were not published until June of 2022. The processing of the 2020 tax return data was also delayed, and as a result, we tentatively plan to release the 2020 non-employer statistic estimates in the summer of 2023. As I mentioned, for a complete picture of the U.S. economy, we recommend that users look at both the non-employer statistics data in tandem with the county business patterns data. And we actually release a published combined report each year once both programs have released data. The 2019 combined report was released in July of 2022. The non-employer statistics data are available at data.census.gov, and that's for 2012 to present. And then from 1997 to present on the API, as well as our non-employer statistics website. And then for the most recent data, you can find that at Quick Facts, My Community Explorer tool, and the Census Business Builder. Now I'm going to be speaking a little bit on the County Business Patterns Program. The purpose of CBP is to provide annual statistics for businesses with paid employees within the U.S., Puerto Rico, and the island areas. The data are available at detailed geographies as well as industries, and the program is also authorized under United States Code, Titles 13 and 26. The CBP data was first published in 1946 and has been published annually since 1964 in some form. The ZBP, or Zip Code Business Patterns, began in 1994. The data available within CBP are the number of establishments, employment during the week of March 12th, first quarter and annual payroll, both presented in thousands of dollars, and the data are also available by the legal form of organization, LFO, breakout at the U.S. and state level only, and then also by employment size classes. The source of the CBP data is primarily administrative IRS data that's found in the Business Register. And then to supplement for some of these large multi-unit establishments in particular, we use economic census data as well as other surveys, including the Report of Organization, formerly the COS. CBP data are available at the U.S. level, as well as by state, county, metropolitan/micropolitan statistical area, MSA, Combined Statistical Area, CSA, Congressional District, and Zip Code. I'd like to point out that the Congressional District data is only available at the 2-digit sector level. Data for Puerto Rico and the island areas are also available at the state and county equivalent. CBP covers most NAICS industries and actually has about 1,000 industries. The data do exclude crop and animal production, rail transportation, National Postal Services, pension, health, welfare, and vacation funds, trusts, estates, and agency accounts, private households, and public administration. CBP also excludes most establishments reporting government employees. There are some exceptions, such as hospitals and casino hotels. For a full list of these exclusions, you can also see our website here at the bottom, the technical documentation link. Noise infusion is also the primary method of disclosure avoidance. A random noise multiplier is applied to the employment as well as the payroll for both first quarter and annual payroll. And again, publishes similar flags to our non-employer statistics data. However, the the county business pattern establishment counts are non-noisy, but again, starting with reference year 2017, the data is only published if the cell contains 3 or more establishments. In all other cases, the cell is removed from publication. And once again, I'd just like to remind you that additionally, any data that do not meet our publication standards are suppressed. Again, for a full detail on the methodology, please reference this link here. The CBP data are released annually, approximately 16 months after each reference year. The 2020 CBP estimates were released in April of 2022, and then because we do an additional review for the ZBP data, they're typically released about a month later. And the 2020 ZBP estimates were no exception. They were released in May of 2022. Again, our combined report, which I suggest for using a complete picture of the economy, the CBP and NES combined report won't be released, the 2020 rather, won't be released until the summer of 2023 as a result of delays with the non-employer statistics data. The data can be found at many of the same places as the non-employer statistics. From 2012 to present, data is available at data.census.gov. And then for 1986 to present, you can use the API as well as the County Business Patterns website. Finally, for the most recent data, Quick Facts, My Community Explorer tool, Census Business Builder, and the My Congressional District tool have the data there. I'd like to point out that if you're interested in historical data, which is pre-1986, data users would have to reach out to the National Archive. For the sake of time, I'm just showing some screenshots of this visualization tool that's available on the CBP website. This interactive tool allows data users to manipulate the 2020 County Business Patterns data at the state and county levels, and for 2 through 6-digit NAICS industry. The 2019 visualization tool is also available on the website. Now, what I'm showing here is the national map, and I'm highlighting Sector 81 for the purpose of this webinar. Here you can also see I'm looking at the number of employees, which is in the statistics selection as well as in the title. You could change that if you wanted to look at number of establishments or one of our payroll fields here. And then also if you wanted to look at additional sectors or industries within a sector, you could change that here as well. You could select the sectors or multiple industries there. This also goes down to the state as well as the county level. Here's what the state visual would look like. Again, this is just a screenshot. So some of the things that you're not going to get with this map or with this screenshot is that actually here where you see some overlapping circles, you could actually select and zoom into that for a larger, clearer picture. And also, I would like to point out that the blue circles are proportional to the value of the selected statistics. So these larger circles show that there were more employees in Sector 81 in those areas for this particular state, which is Virginia. Again, if you were using the live visualization toolbar on a map, you would be able to hover over these circles and it would give you the exact data for the selected, for the specific county or state, whatever it is that you're interested in. And if you had multiple sectors selected and one of them did not have data available, that would also show with an orange circle. We've had some really great staff who've put this together, and we're hoping to release a new iteration with the Puerto Rico as well as island area data in the near future. And then also we're hopeful to put something on our website for the 2019 non-employer statistics website or data as well. Finally, just because I've been talking so much about the combined report, I wanted to actually pull out a visual with some of the information that you could find in this figure. So what I'm looking at here is the number of establishments, and that includes both establishments with employees as well as non-employer establishments for Sector 81 in 2019. As you can see, there were approximately 3.6 million establishments in 2019 in Sector 81. The large majority of them, which is approximately 78.7% or 2.9-ish million establishments, were actually non-employers, and that's shown in this red here. The blue detail is for the county business patterns data, which is establishments with paid employees, and that represented only 21.3% of the total establishments, or roughly 770,000 establishments. The other type of data that you would be able to get is the employment for CBP March 12th, as well as the payroll, both first quarter and annual payroll, again shown in thousands, and this is for CBP as well. Finally, you'd also be able to get the non-employer receipts shown in thousands. And then the published statistics include noise flags for CBP, employment, first quarter and annual payroll, as well as the non-employer statistics receipts. Again, I encourage you to go to our website and look at all this information. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call. We're happy to help you out.
Thanks, Jennifer. My name is Melissa Kopaitic, and I am filling in for Spencer Knoll today. He is a Florida resident and has been impacted by the hurricane and is unable to be here. I'm going to speak about the Business Dynamics Statistics data product. BDS provides annual measures of business dynamics, such as job creation and destruction, establishment births and deaths, and firm startups and shutdowns for the economy overall and aggregated by establishment and firm characteristics. We published a total of 24 variables in each table. Some examples of these are counts of firms and establishments, opening and closing firm and establishment numbers and associated rates, employment during the week of March 12th, jobs created and destroyed by all firms and establishments, jobs created and destroyed by openings and closings and associated rates. We also published a total of 134 different tables. They range from the economy-wide table to certain more detailed four-way tables, such as state by metro, non-metro, by sector, by firm age, or firm size. The BDS is different from other census data products as it is a very long time series spanning the years 1978 to 2020, and the entire time series from 1978 until the most recent published year is recreated with every release. The data I will share with you today is only up through 2019 because we just released the 2020 data this morning. and so that data was not available at the time that we prepared this presentation. The BDS is sourced primarily from administrative data from the Business Register, while incorporating county business patterns data. Establishments are linked across the time series in the Longitudinal Business Database, or LBD, which is used to create BDS. The LBD was originally designed by the Center for Economic Studies, or CES, for use by researchers, but a growing demand for tabulations from the database led CES to develop the publicly available BDS research product. As BDS has shifted to becoming a standard Census Bureau statistical data product, responsibility for the LBD and BDS production has been gradually shifting over to the Economic Directorate. BDS covers US level and by state, county, and metropolitan micropolitan statistical area. BDS covers the same NAICS as CBP. However, BDS only publishes down to the 4-digit NAICS industry level. The BDS data are published as 134 CSV datasets on our BDS website, 13 data tables on data.census.gov, as the full time series on the API, and through BDS Explorer, where you can use interactive charts, tables, and maps to get a better look at the data. I will show a few images from our BDS Explorer in future slides. Significant effort has been put into keeping BDS disclosure avoidance consistent with CBP disclosure methodology. Just like CBP, noise infusion is the primary method of disclosure avoidance. A random noise multiplier is applied to employment and job flow statistics. Cells with fewer than 3 firms are suppressed with a publication flag of D. Cells with identified data quality concerns are suppressed with a publication flag of S. And cells that are structurally missing or structurally 0 are indicated with a publication flag of X. We break down our statistics into 2 main categories: establishment, employment changes, and entry and exit patterns as a function of the characteristics of the establishment, age and size. Establishment job flows and entry and exit patterns as a function of the characteristics of the firm, firm age and firm size, with which they are associated. Some of our dynamic statistics that are tabulated in the BDS are job creation, which is the sum of all employment gains from expanding establishments and startups. Note that the contribution of firm births can be measured by using the job creation from establishments with firm age equal to 0. Another statistic is job destruction, which is the sum of all employment losses from establishments that are contracting or shutting down. We also publish net job creation, which is the difference between job creation and job destruction. Associated rates for job creation, job destruction, and net job creation are also included. Next, I will showcase some images from our interactive BDS Explorer tool. This graph shows the employment totals by size of firms in Sector 81, Other Services. This sector is different than many others in that the vast majority of employment is held in small to medium-sized firms, rather than larger firms with over 500 employees. And this has been consistent over the 42-year time series. The gap between employment of large firms versus small and medium firms has gotten larger, especially since 2010. On the other hand, Sector 54 tells a bit of a different story. Around 1997, this sector shifted from all firm size categories holding about the same amount of employment to more of the employment share being held by firms with 500 or more employees and firms with between 20 and 499 employees. Large and medium firms continue to add employment at a higher rate in this sector, and you can see in this graph that this trend and the disparity of employment share across firm sizes has significantly increased over the last 10 years. This graph shows the net job creation rate for both Sector 54 and 81 from 2010 to 2019. Net job creation rate is the difference between the job creation rate and job destruction rate. You can see here that Sector 54 has consistently netted jobs at a higher rate since 2013. This fits the narrative that this sector is growing more rapidly than Sector 81. In fact, 1988 was the first year that Sector 54 held more employment than Sector 81. The difference in employment between the sectors has grown from 50,000 in 1988 to 3.63 million in 2019. This graph shows the two highest and two lowest four-digit NAICS industries in terms of net job creation in Sector 81. The personal care services and automotive repair and maintenance industry have consistently had positive net job creation over the past 5 years. On the other hand, dry cleaning and laundry services and religious organizations stood a net job destruction in 2019. Sector 54 has two of the largest four-digit NAICS in terms of net job creation. They are Industry 5415, Computer Systems, Design, and Related Services, and Industry 5416, Management, Scientific, and Technical Consulting Services. These two industries combined created over 94,000 more jobs than were destroyed in 2019. Industry 5411, Legal Services, and Industry 5418, Advertising, Public Relations, and Related Services, were two of the slowest growing four-digit NAICS in Sector 54 over the past 5 years. That is all I have. I just want to reiterate that we released our 2020 VDS this morning, and I encourage anyone that is interested to go check it out in our VDS Explorer. It is an excellent interactive tool for exploring our data. Thank you for your time, and now I'm going to hand it over to Brandy Hanley, who is going to talk about the quarterly financial report.
Thank you, Melissa. I'm Brandy Hanley, and I'm going to tell you about the quarterly financial report. For over 70 years, the Quarterly Financial Report, or QFR, has collected and published quarterly aggregate statistics on the financial results and position of U.S. corporations. QFR produces two economic indicators. They are QFR for manufacturing, mining, wholesale trade, and selected service industries, and QFR for retail trade. The QFR is conducted on a quarterly basis and covers corporations in the United States that file IRS Tax Form 1120 and 1120-S. Statistics are produced at the U.S. level. The following NAICS sectors are covered by the QFR: manufacturing, mining, wholesale trade, retail trade, information services, and professional and technical services, except legal services. The QFR form is a standard financial statement, an income statement, and balance sheet. There are 62 data items collected. Key items include sales, profits, assets, liabilities, and stockholders' equity. In addition, QFR produces financial operating ratios. These ratios make it possible to assess the financial strength of an enterprise and the success of its operations. Select data items and sectors are seasonally adjusted. Sales and after-tax profits are seasonally adjusted for all manufacturing, non-durable manufacturing, durable manufacturing, retail trade, and professional and technical services. Sales are seasonally adjusted for wholesale trade and information services. Many data items are not seasonally adjusted because financial data are not always seasonal. QFR data are published on the main QFR website. Data on the main page are related to the most recent release and include the following: PDF of the press releases, Excel tables from the press releases, a link to the time series trend charts, the full QFR publication in PDF, Excel tables from the publication, and charts. On the Historical Data tab on the main page, you can find the previous press releases, publications, and tables. Historical database tables dated back to 1947 are available here as well. The time series trend charts is a great tool for users to create custom queries of QFR data. Data is available back to 2000 here. QFR data is available in the Census Application Programming Interface, or API. All indicator data, including QFR, are displayed in the dashboard on the main Census website. The dashboard provides the most recently released indicator data. Clicking on the dashboard takes you to the briefing room. The briefing room expands on the dashboard and gives links to more information for each indicator. Finally, the Fred mobile app includes the most recently released data as well. The QFR professional and technical services data available is at the following NAICS levels: all professional and technical services except legal services, which is NAICS 54.
The subsectors that QFR produces data for under all professional and technical services are computer system design and related services, management and technical consulting services, scientific research and development services, and all other professional and technical services. One of QFR's main data points is income or loss after income taxes, also known as after-tax profits. This chart shows the after-tax profits for professional and technical services except legal services in 2022 quarter 2. Second quarter of 2022 unadjusted after-tax losses are $10.8 billion, which is down $11.6 billion from the after-tax profits of $0.8 billion in 2021 quarter 2 and down $6.6 billion from 2022 quarter 1. From this chart, you might ask yourself which subsectors under all professional and technical services contributed to the quarter-over-quarter and year-over-year decreases. We saw on the slide before that professional and technical services second quarter 2022 unadjusted after-tax losses are $10.8 billion, which is down 6.6 from 2022 quarter 1 to 2022 quarter 2. The chart on this slide shows the 4 subsectors contributing to the quarter-over-quarter decrease of $6.6 billion. Scientific research and development services is the biggest contributor to the overall decrease, being down $4.1 billion from 2022 quarter 1 to 2022 quarter 2. This chart shows the subsectors contributing to the year-over-year decrease of $11.6 billion in professional and technical services. Scientific research and development is the main contributor again for the decrease, being down $5.6 billion from 2022 quarter 1 to 2022 quarter 2. All data from the charts can be found on the QFR website. The time series trend charts query tool is the easiest way to customize your searches. And now I'm going to hand it back to Linda.
Thank you, Brandy. Hi again, everyone. So throughout this year's series, we have been presenting our webinars based on topics to raise awareness of our data, as well as to gear everyone up for our upcoming large-scale business count, the 2022 economic census. So the economic census takes place every 5 years in the years ending in 2 and 7. It is a survey that is used as a benchmark for other business surveys. And the next economic census will be conducted in 2023 with businesses reporting their 2022 year-end numbers with a response deadline of March the 15th. Response is required by law and all responses are kept confidential. Data is available to you for free for nearly every industry and geography down to the place level. And this type of information can be helpful in making informed business decisions. Here's an idea of the type of information that are required: EIN number, physical location, primary business activity, sales and receipts, employment and payroll. Those are the basic information. And for each industry, there are specific questions related to the industry. The economic census has over 200 plus data dimensions. Now, in addition to the existing vast amount of data, with every collection period, there is always something new. And here's a sneak peek into what's new for the 2022 data collection. New topics. We have questions related to business technologies, export and imports of services, and telemedicine. Also, new types of business and products, including cannabis, electric vehicles, cryptocurrency, and remanufacturing. Now, in addition to new content, new industry subsectors for agriculture support service are also being added. So it is important to note that most companies are not going to be receiving the economic census survey. The survey captures data for employee businesses, and this slide shows that there are about 30 million businesses in the United States. And out of those, 8 million have employees. And out of that, about half, 4 million, will receive the survey. And here's a timeline on what's coming down the road. So outreach efforts have begun. In October of this year, in a few days, we are going to be doing a classification mailing. This is a mailing for establishments where industry classification data is either incomplete or outdated. And we plan to mail out about 580,000 establishments, just asking for basic information needed so that we can appropriately categorize them into an industry. The main mailing for the economic census will happen in January of 2023. These are the initial contact letters with a respondent due date of March 2023. And the release of the data will begin in March 2024, and the data will be released on a flow basis with all the data released by 2026. So your response makes a difference. Here's a story where one of our data users used the data to secure a small business loan. And this slide has examples of ways our data users have used the data. This use, the uses range from setting economic development plans for a city, to inventory planning, to finding the best location for a new business. So with all of this great data, how can you access the economic census? Well, as Jen has mentioned previously, these are some of the ways that you can access our data. In a moment, I'm going to be doing a live demo on how to access our data. But before we do that, I do want to mention on this slide, the Census Business Builder, also known as the CBB, is a popular data tool that is very user-friendly. The tool brings together both business and demographic data into one central location. So you'll be able to get the data, view maps, and even create reports. If you've not used the CBB before, I highly recommend it. Now let's go ahead and hop out and take a look at our demo. So data.census.gov is our primary data dissemination platform. When you arrive on this page, you are going to notice that there is a search box here. But let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the page to see what else you can do on this page. You can find tables, you can build maps, and you can access our microdata. Now, I do have to mention regarding microdata, many of the business programs, the microdata is not going to be available here for access to microdata. You're going to want to contact, and I have a different tab here to show you, the Federal Statistical Research Data Centers. And here's a section where you have the contact information for your local one near your area. And they will provide you with information on how you can submit a proposal to have access to that type of data. So let's get back to our data dissemination platform here. Of course, when you use our site, you can send us a feedback, suggestions, what you love, what you don't like so much, or suggestions on how to improve the site, and you will have access to frequently asked questions. So let's go ahead and go back up to the top. As I promised, I will show you how to do a search. So with this first search I'm going to show you, we already know that we're looking for data from the economic census. In this box, you can type in the table ID number if you happen to have it, or you can type in keywords. So since we know it's the economic census, I'm going to go ahead and type it here. And when you do that, you are going to see that the filter that you have selected appears here. And you will be presented with a list of search results in table formats, maps, and also pages on our site that are related to your filter here. So to access the file, just go ahead and select this blue table ID number, and it will open up the file for you. And to make this a little larger, you can hit the double chevron to make it bigger. And here you will notice that you have every sector. But within the tool itself, you can further customize. So for instance, let's look at the codes. So we'll take a look at industry code. And for the purpose of this webinar, let's go to other services and say we're interested in repair and maintenance. And let's say we're interested in automotive repair and maintenance. Now these folders, the more you open them, the more detail they get. Okay, so we're interested in automotive repair and maintenance. Okay, so now you'll notice that you have data for this industry at the national level. But let's say now you're interested in county level. So you can go to geography, and select county. I always pick Alabama simply because it's first. Autauga and Baldwin County. Close up this box. And now you'll notice that you have data for this, the automotive repair and maintenance industry for Autauga and Baldwin County. And as you scroll over, you'll notice that you have the data, number of firms, establishments, value of shipment, payroll, and so on. So that was one way to do a search. And when we did that search, it was because we knew that we wanted to look at data from the economic census, right? But let's say you didn't. So how to get back to the main page, all you have to do is click on the logo, and that gets you back to the main page. This is one of my favorite ways to do it. I like to do the advanced search, and I'll show you why. So go ahead and do the advanced search, and we've seen these before. So what's interesting about the advanced search is you don't have to know which survey you're looking for. Let's say we're still interested in the same industry. So we're looking at other services, repair and maintenance, and we're looking at automotive repair and maintenance. So we have selected that as a filter. Let's say geography, we're still interested in the same counties in Alabama. Okay, so here we have our filters. Now, I'm not going to pick survey because I want to see what is out there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit search. And when I do that, you'll notice that here you have a list, and here is a file for county business patterns and non-employer statistics that Jen had presented earlier. And when you keep scrolling down, you'll notice that the economic census is here as well. So let's go ahead and go back to our slideshow. One moment, please. All right. So to get there, it's data.census.gov, which will bring you here to this main page, and then you can start exploring. There's no one way to do to explore our data. So as you use the site, you'll find a way that you like best. Okay. So thank you, everyone, for your interest and time in attending today's webinar. And thank you, Jen, Melissa, and Brandy, for presenting our audience with a wide range of data that we have at the Census Bureau. Now, before we begin the Q&A portion of this webinar, please take note of the contact information on this slide. For anyone that may be interested in a hands-on in-person training, we have data dissemination specialists that are available to provide this service. Now, as a reminder, we're focusing our Q&A on today's topic, and we'll be accepting questions related to today's topic. If you have questions on any other topics, please feel free to send us an email to this address, census.askdata@census.gov. So to ask your question now, please go ahead and use the raise your hand feature to be included in the queue so that you may ask your question. Lane, please go ahead and unmute yourself to ask your question.
Post the link to the last resource you were going over.
Oops. Data.census.gov. Do you mean the data dissemination platform? I'm sorry, I cannot see I cannot share the screen and see the chat. So are you referring to the data dissemination platform? Lane, please unmute yourself.
I couldn't, but now I can. Yeah, is that just the data.census.gov?
Yes. Just go ahead and type in data.census.gov and you should be able to access that site.
Okay, thanks very much.
You're welcome. Okay, so while we're waiting for questions, I do want to mention one thing. We do have something called the Census Survey Explorer. This is an easy-to-use data tool. This data tool allows you to find out which census surveys have the data on the variables that you're interested in. So for example, if you were interested in employment data, you'll be able to find exactly which of our surveys has this data. It can save you a lot of time looking for data, especially if you're not familiar with our program. And even if you are, it's a nice way to reassure yourself that you've got all the data that we can offer on the topic. Let's go ahead back and see if we have any other questions. At this time, I do not see any more raised hands, but just to be sure that I have not missed anything, Lisa, do you see any more raised hands?
I do not see any raised hands at this time.
Okay, and I do believe all of the questions in the Q&A have been addressed. Is that correct? Let me see. There may be one more. Okay.
Linda, I do have one in the chat.
Okay. Let me read this real quick. Is this low reserve nonprofit small business recovery, or if additional recession conditions occur, data to better navigate such a scenario? Are historical
Actually,
available too? Okay. We do have different programs, and this is to the question on the nonprofit recovery. We do have different business programs that can show you what's going on with the different industries in your geography area, and that would depend on what you're looking for. And of course, historical data are available, and depending on which program you're looking at, it can go very far back, or it can be something that is more recent meaning within 10 or 20 years. But you can always contact us if you have a specific industry that you're looking at, and send us an email to this census.askdata@census.gov. Does that help? Okay, so wonderful. Yes, it's easier for us to look at the details of what you're really looking at, because we do have different business programs that can really go into the details of what you're looking at, depending on the industry.
Linda, we do have a few raised hands.
Okay. Let me get back to, hold on. I'm having this, I can't see.
We have Felicia.
Oh, go ahead. Thank you, Lisa. Felicia, please unmute yourself to ask your question.
Participants to have someone to come out and personally do a presentation?
Yes. Okay, I think I'm hearing echo. It threw me off a little bit there. So we have a data dissemination specialist in various areas. And if you are interested in someone doing a hands-on in-person training, you can contact us. I'll give you the phone number again. The slide is not up, unfortunately. Do you have something to write with? It's 844-ASK-DATA, D-A-T-A. Okay, any more raised hands?
Yes, we have Melva Franklin. Can you please unmute yourself?
But in case it didn't transmit, I need to clarify, did you say that the employer data and the county business patterns data is available at the zip code level?
So,
Sorry, go ahead, Linda.
Oh, no, go ahead.
We have CBP, we have zip code business pattern data. Again, you can obviously look at the data.census.gov, and if you have questions, you would be able to get some of that employment data there. It's not available for non-employer statistics. Was that, I couldn't quite catch all your question.
I was asking about the availability at the zip code level for which data sets?
That would be available for the CBP. So CBP, but not the non-employer statistics.
Okay, thank you. What is the smallest geographic area for the non-employer statistics?
That would be the county level data.
Okay.
All right, we have, oops.
We have Mike Lacusta. Can you please unmute yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi,
Okay.
Mike.
Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. Just got a question about the alignment of the statistics. And we've done a good deal of work through data.census.gov with the employer statistics and the NES statistics that come from the economic census. But the CBP combined report with the NES is something new to us that you've mentioned today. Do those numbers align, the CBP numbers? Will that align with the number of establishments that we're already pulling from the economic census for employer firms?
Hi, this is Jennifer again. Again, the CBP County Business Patterns data is focused on establishment level data, so that's physical location. If you're talking about firm level, those aren't the same things. And then also in terms of the economic census, the scope isn't quite the same for CBP as well as the economic census. There are some differences. So, you'd expect to see that as well. But the CBP and the NES data, where there's overlap, those are taken directly off our website to create this combined report.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, for example, if we're looking at the hotel industry and we are looking at numbers of firms with employees in the hotel industry, and we're getting it from the economic census, are you saying that wouldn't include the individual units of those hotels that fall within counties?
Again, the firm level is different than the establishment level. So firm, you're looking at the physical locations of those. Firm is not the same level of data.
Okay.
I guess I would have to have a specific numbers, and I could walk you through that a little bit better. But this firm level versus establishment level, those are not going to be the same things.
Okay, all right. That's the big difference. Is economic census is firm level and CBP is establishment level. Is that correct?
CBP is establishment level. Again, for the economic census, Linda might want to jump in and answer that. I don't actually work on the program.
Economic census is also establishment level.
Okay, and that was my question, just the alignment of those two numbers. Will they provide different numbers for the same year, or are they aligned with each other?
There may be differences. Again, there are slight differences with the methodology. If you had specific questions regarding a data year and then also the census, CBP versus the economic census year, please feel free to call up and we could answer those specific questions.
Okay, very good. I appreciate that.
Alicia, it looks like you have your hand raised.
No, my apologies. No.
Oh, maybe it's stuck. All right, I do not see any additional hands up. Let's check the Q&A one more time. Let's see if we've missed anything. Oh yes, so we have a question on the Census Survey Explorer. So you can go on our site, census.gov, and you can actually just do a regular search engine search. You just typing in the term Census Survey Explorer, and you'll get to that page. And once you're on the site, all you have to do is just select different criteria that you are interested in. For example, the example that I use is employment. If you type in employment, you're going to get a list of different programs that are related to employment. For instance, you'll have numbers from the CBP, which has employment data, and you'll even have numbers from, well, not numbers, but I take that back, I misspoke. You'll have a list of the surveys that has the data. So you'll have a list, and the list will have program names, which would be like the CBP, and even public sector. We have annual survey of public employment and payroll, and anything that has employment related to it, you'll have a list, and then you can just go and open up and explore which one may pertain to your research needs. And that's just one way for you to be sure that you've got every type of data that we can offer to you based on that topic. But just type in the keyword and you'll arrive at that location. Okay, so I do not see any additional questions. Lisa, are there any additional raised hands?
No, I do not see it.
All right, awesome. I just wanted to thank you everyone again for attending today's webinar. At this time, I'm turning it over to Lisa, our moderator.
This concludes today's webinar. Thank you for your participation. You may disconnect at this time.